Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're waiting for just 1 or 2 minutes for people to connect, and then we'll kickstart today's session. Thanks a lot. Okay, so I think now we can start, and of course we'll keep accepting people that is about to connect. So welcome everyone to the second event of the Local 2030 Knowledge and Scientific Network, Bridging Knowledge and Action. For the ones that are not familiarized yet with the network, it is an initiative that aims at connecting knowledge and research to policy and decision-making processes, and is the result of a partnership between the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, CESPI, which is the Italian Center of International Studies, and UN Habitat, with the global component of the network linked to the Local 2030 Coalition. And of course, you have time to hear more about this throughout the interventions, because we have the speakers represented here today. The first workshop of the network took place on 25th June, where the pilot projects in Jordan and Tunisia were launched. And today we are embarking on the second workshop, where we are launching the global component of the network. But before we start, I'd like to tell you some housekeeping rules. This session will be fully in English without any translation services. And for the moment, only the speakers will be able to open their cameras and microphones. And to intervene, we will allocate some time for Q&A. You can raise your hand or use the chat to present yourself and leave any questions, and we'll address all of it during the question and answer after the panel discussion. For the speaker, please try to limit your intervention to the time that is allotted to you, and we will be sharing the presentations from our side. So without further ado, I'd like to pass the floor to Mrs. Francine Melchioretto. She's the officer in charge of the Local 2030 Coalition Secretariat. And I would like to ask her, why is the Knowledge and Scientific Network important for the coalition, and also how the coalition can scale up the results of the Knowledge and Scientific Network. Thank you very much. Over to you, Francine.
Thank you very much, Lucia. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, or evening, depending where you are. It's my pleasure and honor to be here today at this important event that is introducing the Local 2030 Coalition Knowledge and Scientific Network. Today is a true milestone for the coalition, as this network will really has the potential to connect scientific knowledge and policymaking, which is a real game changer. But allow me to just express my gratitude to the Italian government, to CESPI, and for the co-chairs of the Local 2030 Coalition, UN Habitat and FIO, for their support. as well as for all the professors, students, and partners that are connected today. We really appreciate the commitment that you have for sustainable development, multi-level governance, for localization, and we are grateful for this support of the network. And as Lucia has just asked me why this is so important right now, I think we need to bring the perspective of the context that where we are today. We only have 6 years to achieve the SDGs since it has been adopted. So 2030 is really around the corner. We were in the high-level political forum this week. Some of our colleagues are still there since there's 2 additional 2 days of events. But what we heard all along is that the world really needs to change the trajectory that we are going now if we really want to achieve the 2030 agenda and the SDGs. You might have heard those figures already, but in the Sustainable Development Goals report that was launched this month, it shows that only 17% of the SDG targets are currently on track. And there is about 30% that had marginal progress and other 30% that are stagnant or they are even regressing. So I think those figures, they are very disconcerting, and they should really be a wake up call for all of us that show us that we need to really accelerate the implementation of the SDGs, and bringing the academia and scientific knowledge is very important, is very key for that, so we can have public policies that are much more informed. And we really believe that all of this needs to be done at the local level because they start at the local level. And that's why for the coalition, localization is so important. And we are the UN and system mechanism to accelerate SDG localization. Let me just briefly say that the coalition is an interagency or system within the UN. We have 14 UN entities that are part of it, part of the 2 co-chairs that I just mentioned. We also have a network of steering committee that represents different levels of government and also different actors. We have local 3030 hubs and many partners. So for this reason, the coalition is really enabling connection across diverse stakeholders, and we provide sharing knowledge, a space for shared knowledge, expertise, innovations, investments, because our goal is to empower and strengthen local and subnational actors, governments all along the world. And instead of like being a project or an initiative, we are really a space, and we build on initiatives, and we try to scale up the best practice. For that reason, last year, we were chosen as one of the 12 high impact initiatives. So that was a recognition from the United Nations Secretary General and Deputy Secretary General on the role that localization has to push for the acceleration of the 2030 agenda, but also of the transitions. So our role as being as one of those high impact initiatives is to really scale up commitment to support locally driven actions and enhance the work and of international finance institutions to channel financing. And as part of the different activities that we have under the High Impact Initiative, the Knowledge and Scientific Network is one of them. We had just reported on this during the high-level political forum, and the Knowledge and Scientific Network was really highlighted as an impactful opportunity, because creating impact at the local level by connecting the dots between academia and policymaking is really something new, and is something that requires multi-stakeholder collaboration and really can bring innovative actions. So for all this, I know that my time is up, so I just wanted to thank you very much for being here. And we really believe that the actions and the commitments that this group can take can really has a huge potential to change how policies are made. So we're really looking forward to working with all of you on that. Thank you very much. Over to you, Lucia.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Francini, for your opening remarks and explaining the importance of the network for the coalition and the entry point that the coalition has to help scale up the result of the networks. It's really great news that it was highlighted indeed at the high-level political forum. So thanks for that. And continuing with the Local 2030 Coalition, I have now the pleasure to introduce Mrs. Olena Ovnichikova. Sorry for that. As mentioned by Francini, FAO is the co-chair of the Local 2030 Coalition for 2024 and 2025, and they are strongly supporting the work of the coalition and towards the localization of the SDGs, from which we are, of course, extremely grateful. So nothing else, Elena, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for joining today.
Thank you, Lucia, and again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. It's a pleasure to be with you and to see so many of you on the screen. Today's webinar, as also Francine has said, is very important, a moment and platform overall to discuss and explore effective strategies for supporting SDG localization policies through this extremely important link between academia, research community, and the policy level. We know that evidence-based policymaking and interdisciplinary skills are essential to drive SDG localization. FAO, as a co-chair of the Local 2030 Coalition, together with UN Habitat, is committed to the mission of the coalition to localize the SDGs through advocacy, action, and monitoring, and to driving this mission forward together with the co-chair, of course, the permanent co-chair UN Habitat, but also with other UN agencies and non-UN partners. It has been extremely important for FAO to support the Local 2030 Coalition since its launch, before we became the rotational co-chair, and promote and advocate for the effective implementation of the High Impact Initiative on Localization, which, again, as Francine mentioned, was launched last year. We recognize it as a vehicle to promote and drive localization efforts worldwide while empowering local and regional governments. But overall, FAO is very cognizant of the great value that academic contributions can bring to achieving the SDGs. As again, Francine said, we are not making great progress, and we need that actionable knowledge and research, which then can help us develop innovative solutions, provide education and training and sustainable practices, foster innovation and entrepreneurship to address the challenges that we all face, and also engage in policy advocacy to provide evidence-based recommendations. Today is indeed the last day of 2024 high-level political forum, but we already know the topic of the 2025 HLPF. And the focus there is on sustainable, inclusive, and science and evidence-based solutions. That's extremely important for the work overall of Knowledge and Scientific Network, and again for this meeting today. Actionable knowledge about sustainability and transformation processes is crucial to inform intentional change efforts aligned with social, environmental challenges and the SDGs. In conclusion, our hope is that this global launch of the Knowledge and Scientific Network, this and many other meetings that are going to happen virtual and in person, hopefully, is an opportunity to propel really a new approach to knowledge and science, fostering further prolific partnerships that not only believe in the cause, but also have the tools and potential to achieve them. Our collective commitment to SDG localization is more critical than ever, and as we navigate this complex paths, and there are many of them, towards achieving the 2030 agenda within the next years, the role of academia, research community cannot just be overstated. It's extremely, extremely important. Let me close with this and wish you interesting, productive exchange and discussions today, and look forward to meeting some of you soon in other events. Thank you. Over to you, Lucia.
Thank you very much, Elena. Thanks a lot for your words. And once more, thank you to you and to FAO for your support. And now I have the pleasure to introduce Mr. Pietro Ceppi, Associate Expert of UN Habitat. And as you've heard, UN Habitat is the permanent co-chair of the Local 2030 Coalition and also the lead of its secretariat. So Pietro, being UN Habitat such a great advocate for the localization of the SDGs, how do you think the network supports these efforts? Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Lucia. Can you hear me well? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Hi, everyone. Greetings from Nairobi. And first of all, again, I would like to greet the Italian government that is joining us today, and that I would like to thank them for engaging in this very important initiative that is the network. And I would also like to thank all the speakers and all that are joining today for this event, for the Global Kickstart. As you mentioned, SDG localization is a central and integral part of the work of UN Habitat. Right now, we work in more than 20 countries on this topic, And we are trying to scale up from supporting single cities to developing SDG localization country frameworks, where we are aiming to link and align national and local strategies and policies with a multi-level governance approach. Knowledge, data, and research are key components of this process. They are essential for developing evidence-based and impactful policies and projects and to localize the SDGs. In this context, academia and research institutions play a vital role in supporting national and local governments to make informed decisions. Within this framework, we are very honored to be, as you mentioned, also the co-chair and lead of the Secretariat of the Local 2030 Coalition. And as the co-chair, we are partnering with the Knowledge and Scientific Network on two different levels, at the global and at the country level. At the global level, we support the coalition to promote and disseminate the activities and the results of the network. And we work together with the other UN agencies and the co-chair FAO to ensure that the initiative gather different researchers, academic institutions to discuss and produce and disseminate knowledge on SDG localization. At the national level, we are going to implement research activities in 4 cities, Kirkendine and Sousse in Tunisia, and Irbid and Aqaba in Jordan, in partnership with the CHES-PTS to support the creation of well-informed policies at the local level. We will make sure that the results of these activities will feed into the global component and vice versa. We will ensure that the added value of the global network also influences the actions of the researchers on the ground. I believe that this circle connecting international and local research is very important, and we really value the network both in its country and global component. I would like to conclude to hope that this initiative will continue to grow throughout the next months and years. And I would actually like to suggest that all of you that are following the event today, share the network with your peers, communicate about it, as there will be more opportunities for engagement, including conferences, webinars, and the production and discussion of reports and briefs. So I wish everyone a very productive session today, and over back to you, Lucia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pietro, for your remarks and for explaining the connection that the network has between the local and the global component, which is indeed super interesting and important. And thanks to UN Habitat for all the effort they are putting into the localization of the SDGs. That is also reflected in all the engagement that Habitat has as a UN entity. And now I'd like to pass the floor to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Italy, represented by Councillor Luigi Diodati, Chief of Office of the General Directorate for Development Cooperation. The government of Italy is the main supporter of the Knowledge and Scientific Network, and they've been seriously committed to the SDG localization. And in fact, they were also members of the first cohort of the Local 2030 Coalition Steering Committee, representing national governments. And their presence today confirmed this, and we really appreciate the support and the work they're doing in this collective effort. So, Councillor, thanks so much for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you to you. I hope you can hear me. Good morning or good afternoon, according to your respective time zone. I just thank you very much for the invitation. As you know, I am the chief of an office. It is called Office Number 6. That is the office that is in charge with the contacts with ONGs, universities, other ministries, all external entities in regard to our ministry. So I wanted to explain today why we attach great importance to these multi-stakeholder projects. And like, for example, we live today in a very complex world. We can see the SDGs. It is very difficult to implement them completely. We see that some SDGs, like, for example, the number 1, no poverty, or number 2, fight against hunger, can also conflict with other SDGs, like, for example, number 13, the climate, because, for example, some governments to fight poverty can raise the tropical forest to the ground and cultivate new terrain and so on. So we live in a very complex world, and we have to favor the achievement of all the 17 SDGs. So as we live in a very complex world, we must have, as far as development cooperation is concerned, a holistic approach. Now in the scientific field, there is a debate, holism versus reductionism. We can see that if we look at Western science and technology from Descartes to Newton, there has been a reductivist approach in the sense that the man was outside the nature, and the man had to analyze as a scientist the nature. So the man was outside, he had to analyze the nature. But on the contrary, the Eastern philosophy had a more naturalistic approach in the sense that the man was inside the nature. There was not this division between man and the nature. Of course, the approach of Descartes, Newton favored science, science progress, and science technology. But we have seen today that we are exhausting the resources on Earth. We are exploiting the nature too much. So this has probably approached us more to the Eastern philosophy. This is why the Italian cooperation has started to value more and more this holistic approach. And holistic means a multi-stakeholder approach, because we see that for big projects, more actors are involved, the better is the outcome of the project. So more universities, ONGs, state actor, non-state actor are involved, and the more we have chances that we will have a good development cooperation projects, that the SDGs will be implemented, and so on. Just to debate about this problem, in September there will be the 8th meeting of the Coordination Center for Development Cooperation of the Italian universities. In Italian, it's called CUCS, which will take place in Florence, and precisely these arguments will be under debate. We have seen that many other ONGs in Italy, particularly also Catholic ONGs that are grouped under the so-called FOCSID, they have highlighted, for example, the encyclical of the Pope, Lac Laudato Si, where the Pope gives particular importance to the respect of nature, and so in the development cooperation project to take into account the ecological environment, all the ecological aspects. So not only development, but ecology. So what we call in development cooperation, sustainable development. So it is the holistic approach. The holistic approach, as I said, is more favored by a multi-stakeholder approach. So within the Italian cooperation, for example, we can take into example not only the projects where you are protagonist, which concern the SDGs, but also, for example, in the so-called Mattei plan carried on by the Italian government in Africa, all these big projects that favor, for example, the cocoa chain in those African countries that produce cocoa, like Ivory Coast or Ghana, or the coffee chain in all the countries that produce coffee, like Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, where the aim is not only to favor the production of cocoa, but is to keep into account also the protection of the environment, to raise the income of the population involved, and to avoid parents not to send the children to school, because this increase in income favors also the scholarization of children, and so the children are not forced to work and they are sent to school. So these are projects that involve various aspects, multi-stakeholder. So just to close what I wanted to say, one, we live in a complex world. Two, we need the holistic approach. Holistic approach leads to a multi-stakeholder approach. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for your words, and congratulations on the multi-stakeholder and holistic approach that the Italian development cooperation has. This is amazing, and And thank you very much for joining us today. And again, reiterating my words at the beginning for your support on the knowledge and scientific work. And thank you very much to all of you. Now I'd like to pass the floor to Marco Zuppi, who is the scientific coordinator of the Knowledge and Scientific Network. And he will now proceed to explain the goals and the expected outcomes of the network, as well as the strategies used by the network to engage researchers, especially PhD students. So Marco, the floor is yours. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Lucia, and greetings from Rome. And yes, thank you, Gaia. Having a few minutes available, I would like to run through a few slides, just starting from the key point that we hope that the knowledge and scientific network can contribute to link what we heard now, research community and policymakers at both local, national, and international level, and at the same time activating training, capacity building activities on SDGs localization anchored to this linkage. And we heard of the importance of science. I would like to emphasize an additional point, because we often hear that we need to give voice and trust to young people, because they are the ones who live in the future. But there are many young people, many who are scientifically qualified, and we live in a time when, for the first time in history, we have more than 200 million students enrolled in university worldwide. Obviously, there are a significant disparities in the distribution, for example, on the highest level of education, the PhD candidates, but we must strengthen the PhD system all over the world and contributing to giving voice and valorizing those who are in many countries PhD students. And so next slide, please. And the network is specifically designed to contribute bridging the gap between what we heard about the rich insight generated by research community, academia, practitioners as well, multi-stakeholders, and the need of policymakers to formulate effective strategies. So the network aims to engage a wide network of academic and research institutions. We have just launched it, but we have already members from 20 countries spread all over the continents, including young researchers, particularly PhD candidates. And by aligning the research with SDGs localization priorities, the idea is that policies can be better informed by and adaptable to local context, because development is a place-based development, and the gap in many countries on knowledge on SDGs implementation at the local level is relevant, and connecting it with better enhanced planning and decision-making processes remain a significant challenge in many countries. So you see three from the network place emphasize activities at three levels of processes, looking at the slide. At the global level, an academic peer dialogue, multidisciplinary, integrated as the SDGs localization required. And that's why we invite individual teaching research professor and young researchers as well, who work from different disciplines on issues related to SDGs localization, to become member of the network for an exchange of view. But there is also a country level, and I think that the network could help consolidating what perhaps is a little structured network community of multidisciplinary people dealing with SDGs localization. And since, as Pietro mentioned, there is an initial experiment which will take place in Jordan and Tunisia, I will explain in a moment, it will also favor a strengthened dialogue, horizontal, between national communities, in this case, Jordan and Tunisia, within the network, but the same can obviously happen at the level of other horizontal partnership. And we think, and next slide, please, that there are many benefits to join in the network for those interested in terms of opportunity to contribute. The mobilization of a worldwide research community occurs through several key avenues by providing a stream of research data to support the UN's mandate to be, we heard about this, evidence data-driven, evidence-based, through capacity building and empowerment, because the process of collaboration, knowledge exchange inherently builds capacity among all the participants. Again, multi-stakeholders term mentioned in an opening speech, and but also by exploring local challenges, testing solutions in different contexts. The network can contribute a deep understanding of place-based variable that influences the success of SDGs localization offer, but at the same time, the global level, scaling up local solution, because when local innovation proves successful, then global network of researchers can play here a crucial role in scaling the local solution. And with different perspective for comprehensive strategies, ensuring a multiplicity of perspectives and leading to what I heard, a more holistic and comprehensive strategies. So these are the key points. And there are already a series of events planned, including events and then training capacity building. But network members can obviously create synergies, promote events linked to network activities in which they are involved if they deem it useful. As we launch the network today, we uphold the principle of openness. While we have outlined ideas and some concrete events, training, we are completely open to your input, your collaboration. And we aim to finalize our plan together, ensure that the network reflects the diverse perspective and expertise of all the members. By joining the network, the idea is to contribute to a global community and participate actively. Let's address the training, next slide, please, and capacity building component at local level. Because the network is also, as mentioned by Pietro, jointly launching in 2 countries, an innovation that we consider strategic. Here it is emphasized under the term local in the right side of the slide, based on experience gained over the last 10 years with some networks. And the idea is to launch a structural cluster on SDGs localization with a correlated training program, the first of its kind, and linked a capacity building component through local labs. So we have next slide, please, just to go rapidly. Yes, thank you. You see, because we are going to actively engage a small group of 12 PhD candidates from Jordan and Tunisia. The call and selection procedure is starting in a few days, possibly balanced by gender disciplines, who will be interested in being part of the initiative, will be more, let's say, more engaged, as they will get scholarships for 1 year to actively participate. Participate to what? Training and capacity building. A central component is a training program that will start in October, November, last 1 year. The orange, I mentioned the 12 PhD candidates with scholarship, but it will be open in its components to anyone who wants to participate free of charge, of course. And the member of the network will also be involved in defining the program and the syllabus of the modules, because I mentioned openness. So here you see just some preliminary ideas, but it is the idea is that the structure of a series of modules, bearing in mind that there are transversal themes as well, and each module will present a theoretical, methodological, but also practical part based on experiences, case studies, and member of the network will be actively involved in the teaching, knowing that we are setting up a world-class roster of experts. And each module on the top part will have a public event of discussion, what is called the international workshop, with the word involving the triangulation between scholars from the network, policymakers, practitioners, invited from all over the world to. You see on yellow, the local labs, the 4 cities mentioned, in permanent dialogue with the network to animate local laboratories with the PhD candidates, the participant, the network, has a space in which the local community meets to bring together themes, needs, ideas that emerge during the modules, the workshop, to retroact in terms of concrete reflection, translating everything into guide for localization strategy on the territories. And I think that this is important because in such a way, the PhD student and the network could be able to support actively through research action the cities' challenges in SDGs localization. To conclude, last slide, please. What we expect: increase links with international academic research community on SDGs localization. Second, valuable, we hope, scientific support to the global coalition, mutual, as mentioned before, from the coalition to the network and to the local, and vice versa. Third, a training program of excellence, unique over the year on the international scene. Fourth, young researchers, PhD students not only from Jordan and Tunisia, who are at the end of its experience, can be defined as sort of SDGs, localization, academic, scientific ambassadors by virtue of that opportunity. And finally, concrete proposal for strategic initiative, useful for the local authorities, for the governments, national governments, for international cooperation, UN system and bilateral ones, to develop initiative in the interest of improving programming on SDGs localization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marco. Thanks a lot for explaining the network in depth at both the local and global level. And for all the participants, we'll be happy to share this presentation with you after the session. If you have any questions about the initiative, we'll have some time during the Q&A. But in the meantime, you can leave your comments and your questions in the chat box. Thank you very much to all speakers for their opening remarks and for your support in taking this important network forward. And now we're going to delve into our panel discussion. Today we have a very rich panel consisting of 4 professors and 3 PhD students who will share concrete experience and innovative insights on the practical integration of knowledge in the localization of the SDGs. Please, I'm kindly asking the speakers to adjust to the 5 minutes that are allotted to the interventions. And we are going to start with Professor Nilar Midho, Rector at the Moniwa University of Economics of Myanmar. Myanmar public universities have been very involved in the localization of the SDGs and have also expressed their interest in being part of a wider communities of SDGs localization. And Dr. Nilar has been recently elected rector of the university. Congratulations for that. And I'd like to ask you, how can the network be relevant and helpful in Myanmar, and also how can your university can contribute to this network? Thank you very much. And over to you, Doctor.
Thank you. Greeting from Myanmar. Good morning or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your invitation. It's a great pleasure to be part of this webinar at the UN High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development. As the rector of Moya University of Economics, I would like to highlight how important it is to make sustainable development goals work locally, especially for education in Myanmar. Sustainable development goals are crucial for guiding our efforts at Moya University of Economics, as established in 1998. Since then, our university has offered graduate and postgraduate courses, including bachelor, master, and PhD degree in economics-related degree. As SDG Goal 4, which is quality education, it means a lot in a developing country like Myanmar. At our university, we emphasize the importance of quality education, which includes training teachers, developing curriculum that fit into current education, and conducting impactful research. To meet this need at our university, we annually conduct not only trainings in their content area, but special training courses like DOD for our teachers to ensure they are equipped with the latest knowledge in their fields to be quality teachers. The trainings of trainers program with international experience are necessary for our faculty professional development, which make them skilled and quality educated. Furthermore, as doing research is a key in an academic institution, our university teachers have been doing academic research and we have a university journal. However, it is currently only locally recognized. To gain international recognition, it is necessary to achieve ISSN, ISBN, and Scopus level or who join conferences or publication with international university for better collaboration and improvement in teaching. To motivate our teachers, they set off the facilities such as well-equipped libraries and computer labs are provided for research purposes. Currently, we are upgrading our curriculum and trying to integrate SDG principles into our courses to prepare quality students in sustainable development with their right skill and knowledge locally and internationally. Additionally, we review academic research and curriculum every year. We need to combine experts from academia, research centers, and partner with a privilege of around the globe. Moreover, all universities in Myanmar, including our university, are joining the ASEAN University Network Quality Assurance (AUNQA) network to ensure our education standard to meet international benchmarks. We believe guidelines and support are essential for effectively implementing these standards. We have provided internship opportunities for our students, both locally and internationally, to enhance their practical skill and employability. These are strengthening our collaboration with industry and communities, promoting sustainable development practices. We are building stronger collaboration with industry and community, both locally and internationally. To address our current challenges and advance our goals, we seek comprehensive support from the Knowledge and Scientific Network, KSN. We also aim to upgrade our research capability with the support from KSN through joint publication and conference with international partners. Furthermore, we look to KSN for guidance in enhancing our quality assurance practices to meet international standards and fostering collaboration with local and international industry and communities to enrich our students' practical skill and employability. We can disseminate the produced knowledge in international events. I'm excited about our involvement in the Knowledge and Scientific Network (KSN) on SDG localization, part of the UN Local 2030 Coalition. I believe that this connects researchers worldwide, sharing best practices and offering training opportunities, which really help younger researchers and doctoral students. By facilitating collaboration and knowledge exchange, the KSN enhance our collective efforts towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. I would like to conclude that I strongly support SDG measures for fostering quality education at our university and in Myanmar and contributing to the Myanmar's education. By working together, we can create a brighter future for our students and our nation. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Professor Niller. Thanks a lot for your words and congratulations for all the efforts you're putting towards sustainable development and all the initiatives that you are implementing at the Moniwa University. I'm sure there is a lot of opportunities for collaboration, and we look forward to exploring them. And now I'd like to pass the floor to Mrs. Nakita Boya. She's currently pursuing a PhD in economics at La Sapienza University in Rome. And she's also a member of the steering committee of the Local 2030 Coalition, representing youth and civil society, which demonstrates her support to the localization of the SDGs. Welcome, Nakita, and if you could please tell us why it's strategic and useful to be part of the network of the knowledge and scientific that focuses on SDG localization, and also how do you think this network can benefit from being linked to the global component of the Local 2030 Coalition, which you are part of. Thanks a lot and welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Lucia. I will share my screen. Allora, share. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so thank you very much for this opportunity. I would like to thank the organization and of course ringraziare il Governmento Italiano per il suo sostegno and to thank also all the participants. So I'm Nakita Aboya, as Lucia said before. I'm a PhD candidate in economics with a specialization in development economics at La Sapienza University of Rome. And I'm also a member of the steering committee of the Local 2030 as the youth and civil society representative. As a little background, academically, that's it, and professionally, I've worked with the government of Cameroon at the Ministry of Economics. I've worked with the World Bank and with the United Nations. So I've had the chance to be on different sides of the table. So I'm very happy to share this in 5 minutes exactly, as Margot said. So quick agenda, yes, so the introduction that has already been done, I will state why SDG localization is important for my research linked to a policy orientation perspective, and my research is oriented toward inequality and poverty. And finally, I will elaborate on why it's strategic and useful to be part of this scientific network. But before we move forward, I would like to wish you all a happy International Nelson Mandela Day, that is today, and to encourage us to take action and inspire change. This can start with this network. So to come back to the context and research findings, SDG localization is crucial for effectively addressing inequality and poverty. As I said before, that is my topic of interest and specialization for my thesis. And specifically, it's linked to SDG 1, that is no poverty, and SDG 10, that is reduce inequality. So in my research, I show many interesting things, but specifically for this purpose, there is an analysis of trend from 2014 to 2021 in Cameroon that shows an increase in the poverty rate from 37.5 to 38.6% over the period. And that is far below the target set in the NDS 30. The NDS 30 is the National Development Strategy that has the vision of Cameroon from 2020 to 2030. I forgot to mention I'm from Cameroon, so a lot of my work is done in that context. And to reach the SDG globally, we need to reach them locally, since global is the sum of locals. So we are far behind this target in the national development strategies. And the consumer inequalities are also super high, with the richest 20% of the household consuming 10 times more than the poorest 20%. So to elaborate more on that regarding the poverty incidence analysis, comparing rural and urban areas, we have in rural area almost twice the percentage of poverty incidence compared to rural area in 2022. And then why is it necessary? Why this context, and why is the topic of SDG localization important from that perspective? So by aligning global goals with local realities, SDG localization ensures that efforts to reduce poverty and inequality are both effective and sustainable in diverse ways. First, it enables targeted solutions. For example, urban areas might not have the same issues as rural areas. Maybe regarding urban areas, the issues faces can be affordable housing and access to quality education, while in rural areas, households might be more constrained and struggle with agricultural productivity and infrastructure. Secondly, SDG localization can be very critical in our goals because it can help inform policies design. For example, with localized poverty assessment, we can reveal pockets of extreme poverty that national averages might overlook. For example, we might say it's 10% poverty, but in a very specific village, it is actually more, and it might be overlooked. Thirdly, it enables efficient resource allocation. Concretely, by understanding the specific needs of different parts of the societies, the policymakers can actually allocate resources more effectively and equitably. And finally, it can enhance governance and accountability as progress can be tracked and evaluated at the community level. We know that local governments play a critical role in implementing and monitoring the SDGs by ensuring that policies are executed effectively on the ground. And I took a case of a network that is already established, but this comes just after this, to also tell you why being in this network can be very strategic and useful. Marco already elaborated a lot on that, so I will not expand too much. I will just build on that to say it's a very good opportunity and huge opportunity because it will enhance knowledge sharing. Maybe Lucia is working on poverty in Kenya, Francine is working on poverty in Morocco, and this knowledge sharing can actually help to foster and build more effective research and enhance policy decisions, and that is a cycle. It can foster collaboration, it can optimize resources and influence policy, build capacity, improve monitoring and evaluation, and help scale successful models. For example, if we had a successful study in Cameroon, we can see if it is also applicable in Chad. Although every country has its own context, there might be interesting part that can say, okay, this worked here, it can work also there. And for example, as I was saying before, there is the Global Task Force of Local and Regional Governments that help facilitate the cooperation among local governments worldwide in implementing and localizing the SDGs. And it's been successful in, as I said before, sharing insights, strategies, collaborate on joint projects, advocate collectively, access to training, so as to build capacities. And finally, I want to leave you with this picture. You can see two different scales. First, during policymaking, and secondly, when engaging with the community. These are two different things, but that actually work together. The policymaking helps the community engagement, the community engagement helps the policymaking. So this is to encourage us to really foster the collaboration, work together, because it's by achieving those targets and those local action that we can actually all contribute in our little part to the SDGs 2030 of the United Nations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Makita, for your intervention and for providing data that demonstrates the need for localization of the SDGs in the pursuit of the 2030 agenda. And also congratulations in the work you're doing in your research. I'd like now to move to Professor Giovanni Caudo. Giovanni is a professor of urban planning at the architecture department of the Roma II University, and he was also counselor for urban planning of Rome, where he launched several initiatives such as the Roma 2025 initiative with the involvement of several universities or the coordination of the change makers and culture for sustainability project, which involves doctoral students from different disciplines and cities in Italy. So, Professor Giovanni, could you please describe the experience of the change maker projects in linking policy making and urban regeneration with scientific research? And also, how do you think it can be actively involved in the knowledge and scientific network and become part of this network? Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Lucia. Thanks a lot. Hi, everyone. My name is Giovanni Caudo. I am a full professor of urbanism at the Department of Architecture of University of Roma Tre. Thanks a lot for inviting me to this seminar. I am very proud to participate in this discussion. Next slide, please. I'm the coordinator of research group LABIC, a research group inside of the Department of Architecture of Roma Tre. The research group is composing from students, PhD students, of course, researchers, and colleagues and professors. We have been dedicated to our works and research, teaching, and operation aspect, guided by the same objective outline in the Knowledge Scientific Network manifesto. More information can be found on the LABIC group website. This link if you needed. Please, next. Next slide, please. Thanks. Today we have a short time. I will only mention a recent activity for the Italian Minister of the Environment, Sustainability in Action, Change Makers, and Culture for Sustainability. An activity to disseminate the culture of sustainability and SDG, aim mainly at young researchers with PhD, and they have two crucial moments: the international seminar Sustainability in Action in November, the last November 2023, and the Change Maker School held last April 9 to 13 in the industrial city of Terni, in close relation with the Italian Minister of Environment, with the municipality also, and Confindustria Umbria, which represented the local industry. Next picture. Next. This is some image from the seminar. Next, thanks. Next. We discussed the issues of localizing SDG, of course. And in the next image, we have some image from the Change Maker School. Next, please. Next. This is the activity inside the Change Maker School, where we discussed with the industry, the municipality, the policy to implement the public policy, of course, to implement the SDG and to accelerate the process on the way to sustainability in a very particular city, very critical city of Terni, because it's a main part of the city is linked with the production, the industrial activity. Next image, next slide. In the end of this work, a national network, Italian national network, of course, of sustainability research was built through a selection of young researchers engaged in research activity at the national level. This network is now open to meeting with the territories and to continue the experience of scientific training. Next slide. This is a map of researchers in the national and regional context, the name of the young researcher, the city, the regional, and all part of Italy where the young research is located. Next, this is the people to participate in the Change Maker School and the network, the national network of young researchers. The legacy of this activity, next slide, is a young research network. The activity is concluded in the last May, and now this network live in the web, in the platform, in the digital platform. Next slide, please. This is the digital platform, Sostenibilità in Azione, Sostenibilità in Action, and where each one researcher have your profile, describe your activity, and also the research topics. One page is possible, you can see in the next slide, please. This is some part of the national network, the name of young research. Then, also this experience differ from the one you are preparing to launch with this seminar, or I think it's possible to have some link with this activity. For example, we can establish possible links and exchange by involving young research in the network, in the knowledge and scientific network. Then Marco described in your introduction. Next slide. Then I am very interested in your work and development of the knowledge and scientific network, because for us they could be a possible extension of our experience, and because, as mentioned before, we share the crucial issues of accelerating the achievement of the SDG goal. As mentioned, the Secretary General of the United Nations in the last September 2023, this is a very important achieved for everyone. Then next for this next one, thanks for this reason. I thank you again for this invitation. I am very interested in the network future development and want to participate actively in this implementation. Thanks for your attention, and if you have any question, I try to respond. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Professor, for explaining this initiative, and congratulations on the work you've put together. And also thank you very much for showing interest in the knowledge and scientific network. I'm sure it's very feasible to establish links and cooperation between the network in the Changemaker projects. So of course we'll be in touch and explore further collaboration. But thank you very much for your works and for your intervention. And now I'd like to move on with Ms. Laila Boussien. She's a PhD candidate in economics of the University Hassan II of Casablanca, Morocco. And she's part of the International Doctoral School on the SDGs Network Scholar, a consortium consisting of 45 academic and doctoral schools from 30 countries in the Global South, with the Italian partner and convener CESPI. So Laila, over to you. Why is strategic and useful to be part of a network that focuses on SDG localization by engaging PhD students in particular? Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Lucia, and hello everyone. I hope you are doing good. I want to introduce myself again. So my name is Laila Boussien. I'm a Moroccan PhD candidate, as she said, at Hassan II University, and member of the Economic Modeling and Analysis of Public Policies Lab. And I'm also affiliated with the International Doctoral School of the SDGs Networks on the International Center of Policy Studies, CESPI. And my research focuses on social issues related to sustainable development, such as health and inequalities, the goals number 3 and 10. So to begin with, I wanted to express my gratitude for organizing this very insightful webinar and for providing me the opportunity to participate and discuss this crucial topic. And regarding the integration of PhD students into networks focused on SDG localization, I believe it is both strategic and essential for many reasons. And because we don't have that much time, I will mention only the most important one. So the first reason, involving PhD students in these networks help them to build their knowledge and skills, theoretical, empirical, and technical skills. And this is especially important for understanding how to apply the SDGs in local contexts. And by working with these networks, PhD students can see how their academic knowledge applies to real-world situations. And this experience helped them to understand the details of localizing global goals, analyze specific issues related to the SDG localization, and produce researches who are both useful and practical. So the second reason, the researches done by a PhD students can add a lot to what we already know about SDG localization. Their work often involves careful analysis and new ideas that can fill gaps in current knowledge, as mentioned by Mr. Marco. In addition, their research can give useful recommendations to policymakers, as mentioned already. So this means their findings are not just theoretical, but also practical and helpful, making it easier to create effective strategies for both and global, local and global SDG challenges. In addition, the PhD students bring new ideas and creative solutions to problem solving. Their works in these networks help to create practical and effective solutions adapted to local needs. And by collaborating with local communities and understanding their specific challenges, PhD students help design strategies to be more pragmatic and can lead to real improvements. So finally, including PhD students in these networks help to build important partnership and collaboration. These connections between researchers, policymakers are the key to maybe turning research into real actions. And by working with other experts, PhD students help connect academic research with practical solutions, making SDG localization effort more effective. So to sum up, the involvement or the inclusion of PhD students in networks focused on SDG localization is vital for many reasons. It enhances their academic and practical knowledge, provide valuable research and recommendation, and foster innovation, solution, and strengthens collaboration, as mentioned by Katia. So this active participation ensures that the localization of the SDGs is guided by robust research and effectively meets local needs, ultimately leading to more successful and sustainable development outcome. So thank you very much for your attention. And again, it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you very much, Laila, for your intervention and for explaining your research, and congratulations. I wish you all the luck, and I'm sure we'll be in touch during this journey that you're having. And now I'm going to pass to Professor José Antonio Pupin de Oliveira. He's a research professor of the Getulio Vargas Foundation in Brazil. This foundation is a gateway to learn and connect with the scientific community in Brazil on SDG localization, which I think can contribute a lot to the knowledge and scientific network. So, Professor, please, can you give us some brief information about it? Over to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for TSN for the invitation, Professor Marco Lupin, particularly. My name is José Pupin de Oliveira. I work for Getulio Vargas Foundation, Fundação Getulio Vargas. And we're very interested in being part of this network, as it's basically kind of what you do.
Apologies, Professor. I think there is a problem with the audio. So
yeah.
I don't know if you want to test again, but we are not able to hear you correctly.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, we cannot hear you correctly. It's a bit weird. If you can maybe try with other device.
Let me see here, put that.
Yeah, no, it's not working. Maybe if you don't mind, you can try with other device and we can move to the next speaker and we'll get back to you.
How about now?
No, it's not working. I mean, we can hear you, but the voice is not
Perhaps
right.
let's go to the technical. We're gonna contact you, okay? And then we go to the next speaker, Lucia. But let's contact you in private.
Perfect. So sorry for that, Jose. I hope we can fix this. And we are gonna move to Ms. Anita Kirwa. She's a PhD candidate in public administration and policy of the European Association of Development and Training Institute, where a working group on SDG localization has been created, and Anita is part of it. So welcome, Anita. I like to ask you why for you is it strategic and useful to be part of this network, in particular involving different disciplinary backgrounds. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Lucia, and happy to be a member of this new network on SDG localization. Hopefully I'm audible now.
Yes, I can hear you correctly.
So yeah, my name is Anita, and I'm a Kenyan. registered at the Public Administration and Policy Group at the Wageningen University, and I'm currently hosted at the International Livestock Research Institute in Nairobi. I'm part of a research project that works on governance of SDG interactions in East Africa, specifically Uganda, Ethiopia, and Kenya, which also runs parallel with other projects under the larger research program that seeks to investigate how SDG interactions and policy interventions investigate specifically how SDG interact on things to do with SDG interactions and policy interventions in developing countries. And from a personal point of view, the knowledge and the scientific network is timely and strategic, especially considering the wealth of knowledge currently being generated by the different research programs, including the one that I'm part of. And one thing that is common across all these research programs is that, across all these consortia, is that they all try to align their activities with either a whole or some aspects of the Agenda 2030. And I guess this is because the Agenda 2030 is referred to as more of a roadmap to ending poverty, fighting inequalities, and also addressing climate change challenges. And as researchers, we all have different backgrounds and we also have different research interests. And for instance, my background is in geography and I'm now working on policy and governance. I'm interested in understanding how SDG interactions occur in practice and also how they're being addressed. For others, it can be around implementation strategies deployed by different countries in the effort to achieve Agenda 2030, which all speaks to the concept of localization. And I would say when you talk about localization, I'm sure that we all agree that transforming the SDGs into reality at the local level will vary depending on the priorities, the context, the governance arrangement, and even the resources that are available in these different countries. And therefore, I would say that having a network that brings together different practitioners, including us as young researchers and doctoral students working in different countries in different contexts, will help in reiterating the fact that context matters and is very important in understanding how local realities could shape decision-making processes, but also at the same time, it can help in understanding how efforts of development actors at the international level, for instance, or at the global level could affect efforts that are happening at the local level. Marco talked about coordination, and localization could mean coordination. Others may call it collaboration between the different kind of actors at the different levels of governance or even across different sectors. My work is on coordination, specifically between the donors and also the government departments within the specific context in Kenya, and getting perspective on what happens from other research studies or from other researchers who are working on different areas of study, but different case studies will be interesting for me to learn. And in the end, we can also utilize the network as a space for mutual understanding or mutual learning or peer learning, where emerging or cross-cutting issues between the different research outcomes can be identified in that case. Also, beside connecting with the different researchers who are sharing or even sharing ideas and even research results from our respective research projects, the network could offer an opportunity to get an overview of the different strategies employed by the different countries to support SDG localization policies and frameworks. And therefore, to conclude, I would say the network is more of a reflection on how the multidisciplinary community of researchers and academics working on issues relevant to SDG localization ought to operate. And also, having a network will allow us to get to appreciate the power of having diverse insights from different practitioners. And also, this will also contribute to the debate on conceptualizing issues around governance of sustainable development goals. I'm looking forward to insightful engagements as we build a community of researchers working on SDG localization. Thanks. Over to you, Lucia.
Thank you very much, Anita. Thanks a lot for your intervention and the explanation of your research, and also for pointing out the advantages that a network such as the Knowledge and Scientific Network has in the localization of the SDGs and the contribution of the conceptualization of it. And I think we can try again with Jose.
How about now? Can you hear me?
That's perfect. Yeah, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Something maybe
sorry
happened.
for the problem.
No, I'm really sorry for the technical problem. I see it works now.
Yeah, it's working good. Go ahead.
You can see the presentation, no? Okay, First of all, I would like to thank KSN and particularly Professor Marco Lupi for the invitation. My name is José Pupim de Oliveira. I work for Getúlio Vargas Foundation and also associate to other organizations. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the work of FGV. You are interesting because you exactly the work that the KSN does, the work you do every day. Is basically connect, you have schools, academic work, but also have a lot of work on the what called applied research, where we do consulting, executive courses, data collection, and publications for our own press. You have completed now 80 years, and you have campuses in Rio de Janeiro, where is our headquarters, but also São Paulo and Brasilia. And you work through a network of 120 partners across Brazil in different activities. You are well recognized as a think tank, top in the world, but also you have a very strong network of in social media. We are around 4 million, more than 4 million people, and then only downloads of our work is around more than 800,000 per month of our research. And then also you as I said, you work in different kinds of courses and activities across Brazil, but also do work in other parts of the world. And now talk a little bit how you connect these two, the issues SDG, climate change, biodiversity, poverty, how you look at local solutions. You basically look at the perspective, the lens of innovation, how actually innovate in governance, and also the implementation agenda. I mean, you have the same problems we have in the past, but now the implementation should be a little bit different because now we know that there are some effects of the potential policies that you use in the past. And then the main question is how your organizations, local organizations, innovate to tackle like these global problems or implement global issues. And basically the conceptualization is like some of you mentioned, have multi-level, also multi-actor, but at local level, how we actually put this all together through collaborative work is the core of our work. I'll go show a little bit of the work you have done in the past. This, for example, we've done a lot of work in the waste management across Brazil and look at the innovations that you have in waste management, particularly the local governments here in Brazil, the responsibility of local governments. They work with different organizations, private sector, civil society to deliver good waste management. We also have done a lot of work, what's called climate co-benefits, a win-win situation between climate change and other development goals, particularly social and local social environmental goals. And the ideas of our innovation is not really rocket science. We don't need smart cities or governments, but a lot of innovations can do with the resources you have. It's basically put people to work together. And we have done a lot of work also in the governance of food, water, energy nexus. You had this large project that you led, or a consortium of around 30 organizations that you both research and also cities and funders to look at how food, water, energy is governed at local level, kind of innovation they do to implement this agenda of green and blue infrastructure. And the idea is actually do what called transdisciplinary research, where they have the academic publications. It's important for us and for our students, particularly if they want to get jobs, academic jobs after that, but also have the knowledge generated by the practitioners, by the cities, and how to combine these two. And the idea is exactly when you do, in general, you put together some guidebook. For example, this work, you work around 82 cities, but you focus in these 10 case studies, cities around the world. And at the end, you have developed this tool that you disseminate through one of our partners as ICLEI, Local Governance for Sustainability. And you disseminate this work for more than 100 cities around the world for different fora and also training groups. And now we are working also on this project in the Amazon with around 20 organizations, local, and looking exactly in the global value chain, the bioeconomy, how interact bioeconomy with particularly the needs of local communities. And you look at innovations local governments do to support this kind of work in terms of bioeconomy. And we're also planning this side event with American University in Cairo during the World Urban Forum. We do a lot of these events. We also launched this special issue, Cities and Climate Change in Developing Countries, just finalizing it, and we are open for publications. That's pretty much what I had to present. You have also web page in English, also in Chinese. And I look forward to interact with the network. I think that you can contribute for our work, but also for our relations that we have very strongly in Brazil and Latin America. Thank you very much, and go back to Lucia.
Thank you very much, Jose, for your interventions, and congratulations to the Foundation for being in the top 10 of best think tanks in the world, and the first one in Latin America. That's amazing, and it shows your commitment and the great job you are doing. So congratulations on that, and thanks for sharing the interesting research you are doing on innovation in waste management and innovation for climate co-benefits. And we look forward to connecting with you at the World Urban Forum in Cairo this year. And now I'd like to move to the last speaker, Professor Massimiliano Koch. He's a professor and researcher at the Faculty of Social and Human Science at the University of Deusto in the Basque Country. And the Basque Country is extremely committed to the localization of the SDGs. In fact, the Basque government, together with Bilbao City Council, the Spanish government, and BBK Foundation, are the main partners of the Local 2030 Coalition, and they are indeed doing an excellent work towards the advancement of the 2030 agenda and the localization of the SDGs. So Maximiliano, over to you. What initiatives at the regional level of the Basque Country are relevant to the work of the Knowledge and Scientific Network and the localization of the SDGs? Thanks a lot.
Hello, Lucia. Thank you very much for your presentation. And well, hello to everyone. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on the place you are. Well, I am honored to be here to discuss about the regional initiatives in the Basque Country, especially those which are relevant for the work and of the Knowledge and Scientific Network and the localization of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. I think many of them could be mentioned, but I would especially like to focus on one, because I think it involves a unique and powerful collaboration. This is the alliance of the three major universities in the region, Universidad del País Vasco, Universidad de Mondragón, and Universidad de Deusto, for delivering a postgraduate program named Strategic Integration, Monitoring, and Communication of the 2030 Agenda and the SDGs. You can move to the next. Okay, you can see here the alliance. This is promoted by the Basque government, the Gobierno Vasco, and the three universities involved. This program, which is exemplifies, I think, how regional institutions can come together to drive progress towards the SDGs. Can we please move to the next slide? Thank you. So this program has been designed with several key objectives in mind. First, the program emphasizes the necessity of a holistic and integrative approach to achieving the SDGs, fostering collaboration among various sectors and stakeholders. Second, participants learn how to apply the mechanisms of Agenda 2030 implementation, understanding the opportunities and challenges these mechanisms present for different levels of public administration, education sector, private sector, the third sector, civil society in the Basque Country. Third, the program provides detailed knowledge about the ecosystems of SDGs in the Basque Country, identifying key actors involved in the development of the Agenda 2030 in the Basque Country and connections with national, European, and other similar regional entities. Fourth, it encourages reflection on how policy coherence for sustainable development can be beneficial for public policies, sustainable economic development, and the formation of effective operational alliances. And finally, the program equips participants with the skills to propose, calculate, and interpret indicators to measure progress towards the SDGs. Can we please move to the next slide? Thank you. The alliance of the Three University is a cornerstone of this program and significantly enhances its impacts. Here's why this alliance is so important from my point of view. Firstly, each university brings unique strength, expertise, and resources to the table. This collaboration ensures a comprehensive and diverse educational experience, enriching the program's content and delivery. Secondly, the combined effort of these institutions foster innovation and the sharing of best practices, creating a platform for developing solutions to local SDG challenges. Thirdly, the involvement of three prestigious universities enhances the program's credibility and attracts a diverse group of participants from various sectors and regions. And lastly, the interdisciplinary nature of this alliance ensures that the program covers a wide range of perspectives and disciplines, which is crucial for addressing the multifaceted nature of the SDGs. This initiative should be considered a starting point. The alliance of the three universities, supported by the Basque government, exemplifies how regional institutions can come together to drive progress towards the SDGs. This collaborative platform enhances the capacity to achieve SDGs and serves as a model for similar initiatives. In conclusion, the specialist inter-university degree in strategic integration, monitoring, and communication of the 2030 Agenda and the SDGs is a cornerstone initiative in the Basque Country's effort to localize the SDGs. It exemplifies how regional programs can align with and enhance the work of the knowledge and scientific network, fostering a collaborative, integrated, and evidence-based approach to sustainable development. The alliance of the three universities should be seen as a starting point, inviting further collaboration and innovation in our collective journey towards achieving the SDGs. Okay, thank you very much for your attention, and this is what I have to present.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much for your presentation of the postgraduate program in strategic integration, monitoring, and communication of the 2030 Agenda and the SDGs, and also explaining the program's contribution to bridging knowledge and action. And I'm very sure that we have a big entry point for collaboration and looking forward to exploring this together. And thank you very much to all the speakers for these valuable insights and for sharing impactful actions connected to the integration of knowledge into SDG localization. And I'm sure that we've all taken note of it, and we ensure that the network keeps growing and connecting knowledge to local and national authorities to inform SDG policy. And now we're almost finishing. I like to open the floor to the participants and take some questions very briefly, because we don't have much time. I've also seen that in the chat you've left some comments that my colleagues have been answering, especially regarding how to become part of the network. But I like to point out two questions that my colleague Marco will answer. The first one is how can local governments effectively adapt to the implementation of the SDGs to address unique regional challenges, and what strategies can be employed to ensure inclusive and participatory process in this localization effort. Marco, over to you.
Sorry. Okay, you can hear me, yes? Okay. This is how can local government, this is what you read, right? Lucia? Yes.
Yes, that's it.
How can local government? Yes, I think this is an important, just to be schematic, an immediate reply. How can local government effectively adapt and implement SDGs? First, understanding local context. The assessment of local needs, conducting comprehensive assessment to understand the specific social, economic, environmental challenges of the region. Second, was mentioned before, data collection, analysis, use local data to identify gaps, prioritize SDGs targets that are more relevant to the community. So understanding local context, diagnosis. Second, integrating SDGs into local plan, alignment with existing policies, and customized, tailored action plans place-based development. So develop tailored action plan that address unique local challenges while contributing to global SDGs goals. And this is the combination of local and global. Third, building institutional capacity, training and capacity building, providing training for local government officials, stakeholders on SDGs localization, implementation and monitoring, resource mobilization and other key issues in the context of Local 2030 coalition, secure financial and technical resources to support SDGs related project and initiative, strategies for inclusive and participatory processes, engaging stakeholders. It was mentioned, multi-stakeholder approaches, establish dialogue, collaboration among local government, civil society, private sector, academia, community participation, and implies ensuring transparency, what Nikita mentioned, transparency and accountability, regular reporting, feedback mechanisms, leveraging partnership, promoting inclusivity. And there are example effective strategies, just to mention what UN Habitat is doing with local and voluntary reviews, conducting voluntary local reviews to assess progress on SDGs implementation, involving a wide range of stakeholders in the process is important. Participatory budgeting spread all over the world, allow citizens to have a direct say in how local budgets are located, ensuring that resources are directed toward the most pressing. So community-led program is important, but I mean, there are a lot. Obviously, I think that this is a very important question that cannot be addressed from my side in detail, just a sort of series of bullet points. Understanding local context, building institutional capacity, engaging stakeholders, ensuring transparency, partnership, inclusivity, and using technology mentioned before.
Thank you very much, Marco, for the explanation and the answer to this question. I like to point out another one because we don't have much time, but we received a question from Andrew Smith, who is part of the Quality of Life initiative of UN Habitat. And they have a very active group of academics who have put together some position papers and other knowledge products. And they are also asking how's the network structure and whether it might be envisioned to have some different clusters which emerge on different topics or themes, and also try to benefit from joining the community that we are building. Over to you, Marco. Thanks.
Sorry, can you repeat, because I didn't hear well this question.
Yes, it is in the chat if you want to
have
a look. It's a question from Andrew Smith, which is part of the Quality of Life initiative UN Habitat. And they also have a very active group of academics who have put together position papers. And he's wondering how is our network structure and how is it envisioned to have different clusters which can emerge on various topics.
Yes, I think that's great, and it is clear, open to us, organize subgroup. That is your idea. In fact, I think that this meeting is just the formal moment of launch at the international level. It is only the start. We did have to enter into specific area of work that will require time, imagination to fill with content. Also because this is a key point in the linkages between academia and policymaking process. It is not a transfer of knowledge. It is challenging for the academic and scientific community to think in policy-oriented terms. So I think that also in terms of concrete initiatives and the idea to organize, and we think, when I mentioned the fact that the idea is a sort of network of networks, also thinking about what was mentioned before by the participants, I think that this is very interesting, because we don't have to invent anything new. Now, there are interesting experiences. This in the chat, these were presented by the speakers. And it seems to me, if I may say so, it is this natural vocation to go beyond, facilitate a dialogue among experiences. The network should enhance the horizontal dimension, Nakita spoke about peer-to-peer between young researchers in Mozambique, Cameroon. The rector from Myanmar emphasized the Asian University Network. It is interesting that there are many experiences in parallel. Perhaps they were not known before. I'm thinking of the work of Jose and Giovanni, or the network of PhD projects that connect 3 African countries in Africa that Anita spoke about. And so I think that the added value is double. From one side, the link on the one hand with some cities willing to get involved in the experimentation, and on the other side, with the global level of the coalition, to which we turn with interest by making fundamental asset available. And I think that, so the idea of subgroup is up to us. It is important, many keywords I wrote on my notes: to enable target solution, to inform policy design, to enhance government and accountability, monitoring and evaluation, and indicators. And I think that if I may just show, I don't know, rapidly, Gaia, just the slide, the final slide, to give, I don't know if, just to show, yeah, thank you, great. Just renewing the invitation to all of these interesting to join individually or institutionally, of your choice is easy. You have just to write. In terms of next step, we have just a tentative programming calendar for the next month. And in September, the Summit of the Future, multilateral solution for a better tomorrow, will be hosted at the General Assembly in September. And the organizers are calling it a once-in-a-generation opportunity. So let's exploit the opportunity. In October, each October, everyone interested in sustainable urbanization, from national and local government to university, NGOs and communities, encouraged to all to participate in activities. We are planning, together with some of the members of the network, still open to wider participation. In November, already mentioned, there will be the 12th session of the World Urban Forum. In this case, we plan to have in-presence event. And I would just add that, as Nakita mentioned, Mandela, he told about the fact that high level of education is the most powerful means we can use to change the world. And this is, let's say, behind the idea of this network worldwide, combining global and local at the same time, because it is through the education empowerment of new generation researchers supported by the scientific community, as well as trained policymakers, that we can hope to achieve the ambitious goal of SDGs localization. And to adhere to the network, very easy, I wrote to the chat that those who are interested, just send the email with a brief description. Who are they, individually or as a focal point for a group network, to Lucia, Pietro, and me, and that's all. And we can start working together.
Thank you very much, Marco, for your closing remarks, for the next steps, and for letting us know how to be part of the network. I think there are no more questions, so we are gonna proceed to start closing the meeting. I've read twice what was the motivation for selecting Tunisia and Jordan as pilot countries, and this was a decision of the government of Italy. So I like to say this out loud before we close. But thank you very much, and thanks a lot for your contributions. So as we come to an end, I like to say thank you to all of you. I like to express my gratitude to the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs for leading by example and for supporting the Local 2030 Knowledge and Scientific Network. And I like to extend also a huge thank you to TESPI and to FAO and UN Habitat, the co-chairs of the Local 2030 Coalition, for your commitment and for your hard work. And thank you again to all speakers for being here, for attending the global launch of the Knowledge and Scientific Network. And we look forward to continuing this dialogue and strengthening our partnership to connect knowledge on SDG localization with policymaking processes, both at the national level and spreading this knowledge with the global SDG debate. And as Marco mentioned, it's very easy to join the network. You can send an email to us and we'll make sure to answer you very quickly. This event has been recorded and you will have access to the recording in 1 or 2 days. We will upload this recording to the Local 2030 Coalition YouTube. And I think that's all. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask us. We will also share the presentation if anyone wishes to have them. And we look forward to continuing in touch. Thank you very much and have a good rest of the day or a good night, depending on where you are. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.